Let me ask you something quietly, like a whisper that doesn't even need a microphone. What if your suffering isn't really coming from your life itself, but from your thoughts about your life? What if that voice in your head, the one constantly reminding you that you're falling behind, not good enough, too broken, or simply too late, isn't actually telling you the truth? And what if the pain you carry around isn't even truly yours to bear? Hey everyone, I'm Bix, and welcome back to Bix Book Summary, where we don't just talk about books. We sit with them, breathe them in, and let their wisdom shape our lives. Today, we're immersing ourselves in a profound little book called Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen. This book is more than just pages bound together. It's a deep and gentle unlearning. It's a sacred, patient invitation back to the peace that's always existed within you. At the heart of this transformative journey lies a radical idea. Your suffering doesn't come from the circumstances of your life. It comes directly from your thoughts about those circumstances. And once this insight truly sinks in, not just intellectually, but deeply and emotionally, everything starts to shift. The anxiety that keeps you awake at night, the guilt that haunts your decisions, the restless drive to control every outcome, all begin to loosen their grip when you realize one simple, liberating truth. You don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. Joseph Nguyen guides us beautifully through what he calls the state of non-thinking. This isn't about forcing yourself into silence or pushing thoughts away. Instead, it's about gently stepping back from your thoughts, recognizing them, and choosing not to get tangled up in their drama. It's about listening instead to the peaceful, clear space that naturally emerges beneath the noise. The calm, joyful essence that doesn't need external reasons or validation to exist. Today's video isn't about filling your mind with more information. It's about creating space within you. Space for stillness, for truth, and for real healing. Together, we'll move slowly and deliberately, gently exploring how our suffering truly begins, why our thoughts often aren't even our own, and how we can stop thinking our way into deeper pain. We'll learn about unconditional love and creation, and how our natural state isn't stress or fear, but peace, joy, and deep fulfillment. Nguyen teaches that the less we think, the less we cling desperately to our thoughts, the more clearly we can sense the gentle guidance of intuition, the quiet voice within that already knows what's best for us. We'll also discover how to genuinely thrive without the constant noise of our thoughts dictating our emotions, and how to move through life guided by inspiration rather than desperation. You'll see how every goal, dream, and ambition you've ever had can still thrive, flourish, and even deepen, without the exhausting overthinking that often holds us back. So, if you've ever felt that your own mind is your greatest enemy, if you've ever deeply craved inner peace over outward perfection, then this isn't just a book, it's a lifeline. A powerful reminder that the calm you seek has always been waiting patiently within you. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The journey toward peace, toward freedom from suffering, starts right here. So take a deep breath, relax into this moment, and let's begin. So here's the starting point the writer brings us to. Not with drama, not with blame, but with gentle, total honesty. All suffering begins in our own mind. And at first glance, you might want to push back, saying, no, my pain came from losing someone I love, from my job falling apart, from trauma I didn't deserve. And you're right, your pain is absolutely real. But the author lovingly encourages us to look again, a bit deeper. Not at the events themselves, but at the stories we weave around those events, the thoughts we add on top. Because the pain we feel is genuine, raw, and undeniable. But true suffering begins when our minds grab hold of that pain and refuse to let go. Maybe you've experienced heartbreak and instantly your mind whispers, you'll never find love again. Or perhaps you lost your job and your inner critic immediately labels you as worthless. Even small mistakes trigger thoughts like, I always ruin things. It's these silent narratives, whispered relentlessly by that voice in your head, that amplify your pain and transform it into long-term suffering. This inner voice doesn't simply acknowledge pain, it twists it, adding layers of fear, shame, and permanence. It transforms temporary hurt into long-lasting wounds. And that's the layer that cuts the deepest, the layer of identity you build from your pain. Here's the even more surprising truth the author reveals. Most of these thoughts aren't even truly yours. They're borrowed ideas, inherited from childhood, picked up from society, from culture, from experiences we never fully understood but internalized anyway. And without realizing it, we've allowed them to take up permanent residence in our minds, living there, echoing loudly, until we mistake them for absolute truths. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could look at your thoughts, really look at them, and see clearly that they're just thoughts, not truths, not facts, just passing clouds in the vast sky of your mind? What if you could simply notice them, acknowledge their presence, and allow them to gently pass without holding on? That's exactly where true peace begins. That's the space where suffering starts to dissolve, not because the external world suddenly changed, but because you've decided not to cling to every story your mind tells you. Joseph Nguyen doesn't ask you to run away from your thoughts. He doesn't instruct you to fight them off or mask them with forced positivity. Instead, he offers a simpler, quieter approach. Just see your thoughts for what they are. Witness them. Stop giving them power over your identity, because when you no longer believe every thought, you cease building your self-worth around fear and doubt. You stop reacting as though every negative feeling is permanent. You stop trying desperately to fix your life using the same mindset that created your pain. And when you finally do this, you're left with something truly profound. Space. Quietness. A calm, gentle awareness that no longer strives to control or manipulate, one that simply exists and observes. And this calm awareness, this quiet observer, that's who you truly are. You aren't the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. Ahead in this video, we're going to dive deeper into how cultivating this simple yet powerful awareness can become your greatest strength, not only to manage your thoughts, but to liberate your entire life. You'll discover how the subtle practice of non-identification can profoundly transform your everyday experiences, helping you reclaim peace, freedom, and joy from within. Because now that you've clearly seen how suffering begins, not from what actually happens, but from what your mind tells you about what happens, the author guides us gently toward another truth. This one might seem subtle at first, but once you truly grasp it, not just intellectually, but emotionally, it changes everything. You are not your thoughts. Many of us move through life convinced that the voice in our heads is who we really are. That relentless, critical narrator whispering, "I'm not good enough, I always mess things up," or "no one truly sees me." It speaks so loudly and so often that we mistake it for our own identity. Over time, we don't just believe this voice, we build our entire sense of self around it, never pausing to question if it's even telling the truth. But Joseph Nguyen compassionately invites us to pause right here, to slow down and ask ourselves a simple, powerful question. If you can hear your thoughts, then how can you actually be them? Take a moment to let that sink in deeply. If you can step back and notice your mind racing, if you can witness yourself thinking, "Wow, I'm really getting anxious right now," then the part of you noticing, the one quietly watching the drama unfold, that is who you truly are. You're not the noise, not the worry, not the fearful story running on a loop. You are the calm, steady awareness that sits beneath all of it. Now, at first, this might sound philosophical or even spiritual, but it's profoundly practical once you truly feel its reality. Because the moment you recognize that you are not your thoughts, something amazing happens. You gain the power to choose whether you engage with them or not. You stop chasing every anxious thought down a rabbit hole. You stop letting old memories drag you into the past. You stop being pulled around by every negative storyline your mind invents. Instead, you create space. And in that space, freedom emerges. Suddenly, you understand that you can feel anxiety without becoming anxious. You can hear self-doubt without letting it dictate your actions. You can observe fear without getting frozen by it. The author beautifully compares thoughts to clouds drifting across the sky. Your thoughts are simply clouds passing through. You are the sky itself, clear, expansive, always present, no matter what storms roll by. This is the power of true awareness. When you detach your identity from your thoughts, an extraordinary shift takes place. You begin to feel lighter, more grounded, more authentically yourself. Not the you your mind has constructed through years of conditioning, fear, and limiting beliefs, but the you who simply exists in this moment, quiet, aware, fully present. And here's what's truly remarkable. Once you stop feeding those anxious, fearful thoughts with your constant attention, their grip naturally loosens. They still arise and pass away, but they no longer control you. Because now you're not trying to fix or fight them. You're simply not believing them. And that creates a type of peace you can carry with you anywhere. Not because your mind is perfectly quiet, but because you've stopped mistaking its noise for the truth. Ahead in this video, we'll dive even deeper into how this awareness becomes your greatest strength, your strongest ally, and your ever-present sanctuary. You'll discover how you can return to this awareness anytime, simply by noticing that you've stepped away from it. Because presence isn't a place you have to find, it's a place you simply remember. Now that we've clearly seen that we aren't our thoughts, but the gentle, quiet awareness behind them, the author brings us to an even deeper understanding about where real peace actually comes from. Because here's the beautiful paradox he offers. Peace isn't about controlling your mind, it's about no longer being controlled by it. Most of us spend years trying to fix our minds. We meditate, journal, distract ourselves, or try to escape. We struggle tirelessly to silence our thoughts, hoping that peace will finally arrive when we get our minds perfectly quiet. But Joseph Nguyen gently suggests a simpler, gentler path. He says, you don't need to control your thoughts. You just have to stop believing every thought that arises. It's a bit like trying to calm a barking dog by shouting at it. What happens? You end up with more noise, more frustration, more chaos. But what if instead you simply stopped reacting? What if the dog kept barking and you chose not to be bothered? What if your thoughts kept shouting, but you didn't follow them? The author reminds us that peace isn't the absence of thoughts, it's the absence of attachment to them. It's the moment you stop mistaking every thought for absolute truth. And this subtle, profound shift is where real liberation happens. Because let's face it, your mind is always going to talk. That's simply what minds do. They narrate, interpret, remember, predict, endlessly spinning stories. But when you learn to stop identifying yourself with these stories, when you watch your thoughts without grabbing onto them, peace naturally arises. Not as something you create, but as something that was always there beneath the noise. Think of your mind like a lake. Your thoughts are the ripples, waves, storms, and turbulence. But beneath the surface, the water remains quiet, still, peaceful, always. And that deeper stillness beneath all the mental noise. That's who you truly are. Joseph Nguyen beautifully explains that we've been taught to chase peace externally, by fixing our lives, achieving our goals, healing every wound, perfecting our circumstances. But in reality, peace is your natural state of being. It exists beneath the noise, waiting patiently for you to stop believing in every turbulent thought that passes by. So what happens when you finally stop fighting your mind, when you let your thoughts drift past, like birds flying through the sky? You settle into presence, into awareness, into simple, pure being. And in that moment, you realize something remarkable. You are already okay. Not perfect, not without problems or challenges, but fundamentally okay. Whole, enough, at home within yourself. And this sense of peace isn't something you have to chase. It's something you simply remember. So right now, take a moment and gently ask yourself, what thought have I been holding on to lately that's stealing my peace? And what if, just for a moment, I simply let it go? Not because the thought is wrong, not because you've conquered it, but simply because you don't need to carry it anymore. As we move forward in this video, we'll dive deeper into how you can live and breathe from this peaceful awareness, not just during quiet moments, but right in the middle of life's beautiful chaos. Because once you've tasted this authentic peace, this gentle, quiet truth, you'll realize nothing else compares. This is the moment where insight becomes more than just an idea. It becomes a way of living. Because now that you've discovered peace isn't something you need to chase, but something you simply return to, a natural question arises. How do you actually stay there? How do you consistently live from that place? Even when life around you isn't quiet, even when everything seems to fall apart. Here's where the author gently leads us deeper. So by now, you know you are not your thoughts. And true peace isn't achieved by silencing the mind, but by no longer being ruled by it. But here's the reality. We live in a noisy, unpredictable world. People disappoint us, plans unravel, stress storms into our lives unexpectedly. And the mind, it instinctively jumps in, trying to solve, trying to control, trying to protect us from discomfort. But the author lovingly invites us to remember something incredibly simple, yet easy to overlook. You don't have to follow every thought. You have the choice to pause, to step back, to observe rather than blindly obey. This, Joseph Nguyen tells us, is the heart of what he calls living in non-resistance. Living in non-resistance doesn't mean you simply sit back and do nothing. It means you stop fighting against reality itself. You stop insisting this shouldn't be happening. You let go of resistance to what already is, because every single time you resist the present moment, you create your own suffering. But every moment you accept reality exactly as it is, you find yourself effortlessly returning to peace. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to love or approve of everything around you. It simply means recognizing clearly, this is what's here, right now. And from that clear, calm acceptance, you take action, not fueled by panic, fear, or resistance, but guided by presence, clarity, and groundedness. The writer reveals something truly profound. When you live like this, anchored in simple awareness, unattached to every passing thought, grounded firmly in non-resistance, you experience something remarkable. You're no longer being lived by your mind. Instead, you're living peacefully alongside it, gently, wisely, compassionately. The mental chatter may still continue, but now it's simply background noise, something you no longer need to constantly fix or silence. You stop chasing every passing emotion. You stop analyzing and overthinking every detail. And instead, you begin fully inhabiting the present moment, right here, right now, where life is actually unfolding. This, Joseph Nguyen gently reminds us, is what real freedom looks like. Not a perfect mind, not even a quiet one, but a mind you no longer feel obligated to believe or follow blindly. Here's a simple, powerful practice you can use whenever you notice yourself caught up in judgment, anxiety, or overanalysis. Pause gently and ask yourself one quiet question. What remains here if I don't follow this thought? Try it, even now. You might instantly find yourself taking a deep breath, feeling calm, settle in, sensing a gentle moment of peace, that quiet space beneath your thoughts. That's where your real life lives. Ahead in this video, we'll bring all these insights together, reminding you of one profound truth. Peace has always been available to you. You simply forgot, but now you remember. So here we are, after all the thoughts, after all the spirals, the endless searching, and the constant attempts to figure everything out, arriving gently at the simplest truth of all. You are not your thoughts, and you never were. Your mind has told you countless stories about who you supposedly are. Stories about everything you've done wrong, about what you'll never achieve, about how you must fix yourself before you can finally allow yourself to feel at peace. But what if none of those stories were ever true? What if your peace was never lost, only covered by noise? What if joy doesn't need a reason and freedom isn't something you have to earn? What if all this time your thoughts were just passing clouds, and you have always been the endless sky? This is the gentle but profound wisdom that don't believe everything you think offers us. Not simply a tool for managing your mind, but a path that leads you back home to your true self. And not by doing more or achieving more, but simply by letting go. Letting go of the thoughts that no longer serve your peace. Letting go of voices that were never really yours to begin with. Letting go of the illusion that you need to fix every problem before you can finally experience happiness. Because you don't need to escape your mind. You just need to stop believing every single thought it throws your way. The real you, the one who observes, the one who breathes, the one who notices that quiet presence beneath all the noise, that's who you've been all along. So the next time your mind gets loud and heavy, the next time you find yourself caught up in another what if, in another overthinking spiral, another wave of doubt or anxiety, just pause. Take a slow breath, and gently remember, you are not the noise. You are the one who hears it. And that means you're already free. If this video offered you even a brief moment of peace, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who might need this gentle reminder. Drop a comment below and tell me, what thought are you ready to stop believing today? You'll find a link to the book in the description below if you feel called to explore even deeper. and I truly hope you do, because this book isn't just a read, it's a remembering. I'm Bix, and this is Bix Book Summary. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, think less, be here, stay free.